What's up? Today, I'm bringing an updated deck profile on my Rikka fairies, aka Snowflowers, because honestly I like the name Snowflower better than Rikka. Honestly, sometimes I hate when they change the names when translating it from Japanese to English, but it is what it is. Now I just want to remind you to vote for which deck you'd like me to do a deck profile on, and you never know, it could end up happening. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. First off, I run 3 Rikka Petal. Rikka Petal, during your main phase, you could take 1 Rikka monster from your deck, except Petal, and either add it to your hand or send it to your grave. While the downside is you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except plant monsters, and during your opponent's end phase, while this card is in your graveyard, if you control no monsters or all monsters you control are plant monsters, you can special summon this card. So the one downside is that the Rikkas will lock you into plant, and there's not a lot of good plant extra deck cards, but there are some good cards, so it's not like a huge number. You got like Jasmine and a few others. So, and this is also a level 1, so it can be used off of 1-for-1. Next, I run 3 Primula, the Rikka Fairy. If a monster you control is attributed, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Then you can target up to 2 plant monsters you control, increase their levels by 2 until the end of this turn. So this is good for increasing your levels for those XC plays. And it's also a free summon. I also run the 1 Cyclamen. Now, Cyclamen is kind of like the opposite of Primula, where it decreases the level by 2. I also run 3 Mudon, the Rikka Fairy. You contribute 1 plant monster, special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal summoned, or special summoned by the effect of a plant monster, you can add 1 Rikka spell trap from your deck to your hand. Now, since Mudon is a plant monster, just by attribute using its own effect, you can add 1 Rikka spell or trap. Next, I run the 1 Rikka. When an attack is declared involving another plant monster you control, you contribute this card from your hand or face the field. That monster you control gains 1,000 attack. And if a plant monster you control is attributed while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. So it's like a bit of a hand trap, and it's also good in the grave to revive itself. I also run the 1 Hellbore. Hellbore, like Rikka, is kind of like a hand trap. When your opponent activates a monster effect that targets a monster you control while you control a Rikka Fairy or a Rikka monster, quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or face the field to negate the effect. And if this card is in your graveyard, contribute 1 plant monster, special summon this card in defense position. Pretty good, like Rikka, reviving itself. I also run 3 Snowdrop. Personally, my favorite of the Rikka Fairies. You contribute 1 plant monster, special summon both this card and 1 other plant monster from your hand. And then you can target 1 plant monster you control. All monsters you currently control become that monster's level until the end of this turn. So, this is really good for basically making everything like a level 6, 4, or 8. So, that's really good for XC plays. It does open up a few synchro plays, but mostly XC. So, it makes going into your teardrop pretty easy. I also run the 3 Lone Fire Blossom, which is the most broken plant monster in existence, and if you run a plant monster, you always got to run it. 3 Evil Thorn, which is like the second best plant monster next to Lone Fire Blossom. I feel like someday these 2 cards are going to get banned. Just need the 1 card that, well, breaks them. I also run the 3 Rose Girl. Rose Girl can essentially special summon itself from the hand if a plant monster is sent to the grave. So it's another card that can special summon from the hand. Moving on to the spells. I run 3 Rikka Glamour. I still don't have any Rikka Glamour. Fortunately, things are a little tight for me right now, so I couldn't really get another Glamour. But by the time I do, like, maybe update Rikka Fairies again, I will probably have it. But Glamour, when you activate this card, you can also attribute 1 plant monster and add 1 Rikka monster from your deck to your hand. So it's a searcher, and if you attributed a monster when you activate this card, add 1 plant monster with the same original level as a Rikka monster with a different name from your deck to your hand. So you can essentially search 2 cards. Yeah, that's really good. Also run the 3 Pot of Avarice. Basically, whenever you run Lone Fire Blossom and Evil Thorn, you always want to run Avarice, because Lone Fire Blossom is a 1 card Avarice. I also run the 3 Pot of Prosperity. Now this one, I only have 1 copy because I can only afford 1 copy because I think it's like $80 now. I haven't checked lately, but Prosperity is really good. Mainly because if you use the Rikka Fairies and lock yourself into plant monsters, then there's some monsters you can't even use in your extra deck. Because not everything I run in my extra deck are plant monsters. Because if we're just going with plant monsters, then there's going to be some free space. I also run the 1 Foolish Burial. the one Monster Reborn, and the one 1-for-1. Moving on to the traps. I run 2 Rikka Sheets and 2 Rikka Tranquility. Rikka Sheet, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Also tribute 1 plant monster. Players cannot activate that face-up monster's effects on the field this turn. Then, if you tribute a monster when you activate this card, take control of that monster until the end phase. And if you do, it becomes a plant monster. And Tranquility, when you activate this card, you can also tribute 1 plant monster, special summon 1 Rikka monster from your graveyard in defense position. Then, if you tribute a monster when you activate this card, special summon 1 plant monster from your graveyard in defense position. So this is kind of like a Monster Reborn in a way. It's kind of like a negation / mind control. Pretty good. Moving on to the extra deck. I run 3 Rikka Queen Strena. That's it's one of the new cards. Well, technically not new anymore because it came out a while ago. Came out in Eternity Code. No, Rise of the Duelist. And Strena's pretty good because when it is tributed, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher plant. You can special summon 1 rank 5 or higher plant monster from your extra deck. So it can special summon Queen and Teardrop straight from the extra deck. So it's pretty good for getting those cards out. I run a 2 Kanzashi. Now Kanzashi, if a monster is tributed, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster in either graveyard, special summon it, but negates its effects, and it becomes a plant monster. And if a plant monster you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can tribute 1 plant monster from your hand or field instead. So it's pretty good because they can special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard and make it a plant, so then you can use it for your own plays. I also run a 2 Teardrop. Sorry, I don't have that card yet either. I really want it, but just hasn't been on my list of priorities for cards to get. This one you can detach 1 material from this card, target 1 monster on the field, tribute it. This is a quick effect if this card has a plant monster as material. And each time a monster is tributed, this card gains 200 attack until the end of this turn. End of the turn. Oh, pretty good. Also run the 1 Bahamut Shark and the 1 Totally Awesome because the Rikka Fairies are water monsters, surprisingly. So that is definitely a play you can run. So I run it just because I can. I also run the 1 Jasmine, the best plant link monster essentially. I run a Stardust Charge Warrior and a Borreload Savage Dragon for Synchro. Not that I have many Synchro plays to go off of. Yeah, Rose Gold is the only tuner. And a standard line of Boral Sword, Apollosa, and Access Code. Well, that's going to be all for my deck profile. Let me know, what do you think of the Rikka Fairy? Do you think it's a pretty cool archetype? Do you think it needs some more support? Do you think Lone Fire and Evil Thorn are going to get banned eventually? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video I make. Bye.